Happy Wednesday, and what a Wednesday this is going to be. It is time again for the Imperfect Action live stream. If that's what you're wondering, what you're watching, who am I? I am Rob Fenstermaker, former corporate burnout survivor turned kingdom builder, your kingdom builder. I want to empower you to get out of the rut, get into action, and start making your dreams your reality. When I'm not doing the Imperfect Action live stream, there's a couple other things I do. I host the virtual Friday Whiskey Hour. We held it this past Friday. Will be a week from this coming Friday. This past Friday, we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of AI. And there is definitely some good, some bad, and ugly of AI. I also host the Iron Sharpens Iron community. That is every other Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. But enough about that. It is time for the Imperfect Action live stream. It's time to introduce my guest, Christelle Biiga. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
That's fantastic. We didn't get much of a chance to talk beforehand. So we are definitely going at this total imperfection, aren't we, today?
Yes. That's the title of the show, right?
That is the title of the show. You are correct. It is the Imperfect Action live stream. And Christelle, I appreciate you coming on. I know we've met, I think we've only met once before, and that was at a networking event. I got to be honest, I cannot remember which networking event it was at, but I know that's where we met.
We have so many networking events happening, so it's hard to remember which one.
I try and get around to as many as I can. And I meet a lot of people. And if you're in the virtual world or you're not going to some of these virtual networking events, hey, you need to get to them because that's how you make connections in the real world. It's not like back in the day when I got out of college and you put on your suit and tie and grab your resume and go meeting people and grease some palms. It's a little bit different in this day and age. So, yes, you got to attend the virtual networking events. And there's plenty of good ones out there. And it's just something you just got to attend them. And if you go to them, attend them a few times before you really get the feel of what's going on at it. And, the people you meet, I've definitely met some very, very good people at some of these events like yourself. And here you are on the Imperfect Action live stream. Thank you for that.
And thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yes. Now, I know that you shared with me before. Well, you came from Africa. You came from Cameroon, which is in Southwest Africa. Is that correct?
No, West Central. West Central. I would say
West
Central. Some people will say West. So let's make it even and say West Central.
West Central, but it's right on the coast. Is that correct?
Yes, right by the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay. Now how many years ago was it that you left Cameroon and came to the States?
Oh, I landed here exactly December 31st, 2015. I'm going to my 9 years, actually. Yeah.
9 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
9 years.
That's a long time.
And it's, as you came to the States, well, what was it that you wanted to leave Cameroon and come to the States? What was the reason for that?
Well, let me just give you the typical answer, the American dream, right?
The American dream.
I bought into the American dream. I bought into the story that anyone can become anything in the States. So I said, okay, let's go. Because I've always had that dream of, making a difference in the world. So I thought, what better place than the US to do that? Because they said here, anything is possible. It sounds funny like that, but that's actually true. I remember when I was growing up as a little girl in Cameroon, I would see strangers on the street and wonder, is this person happy? I didn't know why I cared so much, but I actually cared. I had to remind myself, Christelle, you don't even know this person, so why do you care?
Yeah.
But it was a question that never actually left me. And I grew up, thinking about it. It was coming in different shapes and forms. So I would pay attention to what is happening in the world, and especially in the US. And I will notice celebrities like Oprah or Rihanna, especially Rihanna, because she's my generation. Yeah. We probably have the same age. And every time she will have a new hairstyle, we will all have the same hairstyle. So I'll go to bed thinking about that and saying to myself, Rihanna probably doesn't even know where Cameroon is, but here she is impacting us. Here she is, making us act a certain way, just even changing our hairstyle. And I will go to bed thinking, if only I had that level of influence, if only I had that level of visibility, I will actually also impact people's lives, but not just to change their hairstyle, but to help them be happier. I had no plan on how to make them happier, but I just knew that's what I wanted. So that's why eventually I said, you know what? instead of keep thinking about it. Yes, in Cameroon, I was already doing some TV, some radio, but I was like, this is not going to be, it's not going to be global. But if I go to the
Yeah.
US, maybe I will have a chance to go global and make as many people as possible happy. So here I
Yeah.
was decided to come to the everyone can become anything in the US. And that's how I
So
decided to.
what is your original language?
My original language is Bassa. Well, but we in school we learned French because Cameroon is kind of like Canada. We have one
Okay.
side that speaks French, one side that speaks English. I'm from the French side, so we learn English in school, but we don't practice. So I didn't speak English when I was moving here. I couldn't. But yeah, I said, I started watching some CNN
Yeah.
before because I was like, okay, I need to at least get a sense of how I couldn't understand a word, but I was that was the best way for me to practice. So I landed here,
Oh, it is.
couldn't speak English at all, but yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Total
made the
total
jump.
immersion. That is the best way to learn a language. I mean, I
Hmm.
lived in French speaking Belgium for 9 months. And
Hmm.
I knew a little bit of Spanish before I went there. I didn't know really any French, but
Hmm.
Spanish and French, they're pretty. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between the two, as far as a lot of the way the sentences are structured, words are structured. So I was able to pick
Can,
it up.
can I make a
But
joke about that?
what's that?
Because can I give you a little joke about Spanish and French being similar?
Okay, yeah,
When I was in high school, we had to pick a second language, which
yeah,
was between German and Spanish. I picked Spanish, and I couldn't understand a word. So, but we were using
really,
it as we write the word in French and add a at the end or o, hoping that okay, it's gonna go through because French and Spanish is not that different. So, if it's a feminine word, we're gonna add a at the end. Sometimes it
right.
worked, sometimes it didn't, but
Oh
that's how
yeah.
we're trying to get around it.
Well, I agree. I mean, they're both Romance languages, so the sentences are structured the same way, where it's verb noun.
Mm,
But being immersed in it with a bunch of French speakers, I was able to pick up on it much quicker, as opposed to just trying to learn French on my own.
mhm,
Uh, but yeah, that total immersion is very good. And I've had the opportunity, when I was in college, I took Spanish. That was the language I took, and I've been down to South America too, and I was surprised how quickly I was able to pick back up on it. But when
mm.
you're someone who's speaking that native language, especially Spanish, they're speaking it so fast. And I was just like, whoa, slow down, please, slow down. But I could understand it enough. I guess I can speak enough Spanish to get myself in trouble. So that's what I like to say. But you came here and I mean, really, you kind of self-taught yourself English just by watching TV, watching CNN, you said,
I
and
wish
watching
I
news
could
channels.
say I wish I could say it was that fun to learn English, but it wasn't. So when I landed at LAX, actually, I got arrested because an immigration officer accused me of coming here to work as a prostitute. So I ended
Whoa.
up in a detention center where I had to communicate with people. And it wasn't
Yeah.
me choosing how I will learn. I had to interact, I had to communicate. I remember sometimes I will try to have a conversation with other detainees there, and they will get frustrated. They will tell me, "We don't understand what you're saying." So
Yeah.
as I was learning on the go, trying to remember the few words that I was learning in school. I mean, I
Hmm.
knew could write because, to write tests and all of that, but communication was a different story. So that's how I
Yeah.
was learning, being thrown in a situation where you have to talk to people, you have to communicate to survive. If not, how are you going to
Yeah.
get around it? Ask for help or anything like that. I had to do it in English. So that's how I started because it wasn't perfect when I left the detention center, but I got a job at LAX, which was a job that I got because it was a French airline. So they needed French
Okay.
speakers, which was
Yeah.
perfect. So it was an opportunity for me to help them with my French, but also being there, practice my English better and better and better. So yeah, that's how I
Very
learned.
good. Very good. Now, you are a U.S. citizen now?
Almost, I swear next month. So let's say
Next
almost.
month. Hey, congratulations with that.
Thank
So,
you.
there's an exam you have to take. Has that already been
I
taken?
took the exam, so the swearing ceremony is just to say I promise that I'll be
Did
loyal
you
to the
promise?
United States.
Yeah, I've heard. I've yeah, I don't know what I've heard that the exam can be a little tricky. That people that have been born and raised in this country, there's a lot of people that can't even pass that exam.
I
Um,
mean, it's not bad, but it's history. You need to know history.
yeah,
You
it's
need to
history.
know,
Yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, you need to know names and dates and, yeah,
yeah,
things like that. But it's nothing crazy.
yeah. Our history is important, and
Mm,
I've been born in this country, and I'm not ashamed to say it's the greatest country in the world. But
mm.
I know we definitely have things that are not great about this country. I freely admit that. But I think what makes this country so great is the willingness of people to work together, to listen to each other, to have those debates. And the art of debate, the art of listening, something that I think is, very foundational to the American mindset.
And I can totally understand or relate because in Cameroon we have almost 300 different tribes, which means different cultures, different
Right.
languages, and we have to come together, right? We have
Yeah.
to find a way to live together, to work together, to
Mm-hmm.
interact. So I kind of understand. I mean, and America is not that bad. It's just maybe two
Yeah.
different political parties and two different
Yeah.
whatever, or different religions or opinions or things like that.
Mhm.
But in Cameroon, it's really different cultures, right?
Yeah.
It's different people, really. But we, some way, somehow, find a way to live together with all the misunderstandings and all the differences and all of that. We figure out a way to live together
Yeah.
in peace, kind of. So I can understand
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
And I know there's a lot of angst going on right now with a lot of different things, but deep down inside, I have a faith in the American spirit. I really do. And I think that faith in that American spirit, it's never going to die. And the American spirit is never going to die. um, regardless of the people that on either fringes that want to impose it upon all of us in the middle. I really believe that there's just a very vocal minority on either extreme, and us that are in the middle, 75, 80%, we're just like, you know what, we just want to live our lives with that American dream, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you mentioned happiness. You
Mm-hmm.
always said you grew up always wondering if people were happy.
Mm,
And, people can put on a facade because we
mm.
never really know what's going on between the ears here. We never really know. They can put on a facade. So as you embrace that idea of really wanting to know if people were happy, uh, did people respond to you in ways that they would share really what was going on in their life?
You mentioned something really important. We don't really know what's going on. People put on a
Right.
facade. And I was one of those people at some point, not long ago actually,
Hmm?
where I was
Yeah.
going through a depression, but nobody around me knew that because I was putting on that facade, right? Keeping the smile on and, acting normal. But as soon as I go back home or I'm in my bed, I have dark thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Really, really dark. That as dark as trying to leave this
Yeah.
earth. But nobody knew that around me. And it's really
Yeah.
important for us to talk about it right now because I know this is a time where a lot of that is happening. I saw
Hmm.
on a Facebook post a few days ago, someone mentioned that their brother took their life away, and all the
Yeah.
pictures showed him like a happy person, a happy human
Yeah.
being, celebrating Mother's Day a few days ago. Just to
Hmm.
say that happiness is something that nobody can tell us when we are happy, or nobody can define for us what can make us happy. That's why
Yeah.
sometimes people are shocked. But you have everything. Why aren't you happy? Because we
Yeah.
think, oh, with this or this or this, someone should be happy. But is it really
Yeah.
that how it works? No, this is not
Yeah.
how it works. Happiness is something that comes from a place of peace. Are you at peace with
Hmm.
yourself? Are you at
Yeah.
peace with the life that you have? Because we live in a society where we look around. Social media doesn't make anything easy, right? We
Yeah.
see everything happening, all the things that other people have and we don't have, the life that other people are living and we're not living. And are we at peace with that? Are we at peace
Yeah.
with the fact that we may not have the things that we want to have? Are we at peace with the fact that life may not look the way we thought or they told us it will look? Are we at peace with that? And that's what really creates unhappiness, when we start
Hmm.
looking outside of ourselves and questioning ourselves. Because if you are at peace with yourself, you can say, listen, maybe everyone else likes chocolate and I don't, and it's okay. Maybe everyone else has a great job and I don't, and that's okay. Maybe everyone else can travel 3 times a year to go to an exotic location. I can't, and that's okay. The moment you stop being okay with the life that you have, yes, I know it's good to want more. I do want more.
Hmm.
I'm an ambitious
Yeah.
person.
I think we all do.
And at the same time, be at peace right here, right now, with what you have, with what your
Yeah.
life is. And when you have that peace, then you can actually be happy. Because even the moment when you will be able to create all the things that you are going after and that are maybe making you unhappy right now, if you did not learn to be at peace with what you have, even when you will have more, you will not have that peace,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I think happiness really is important, to
Yeah.
understand that nothing will make you happy be if you are not at peace with yourself, with the
Yeah.
life that you have. And the way to find that peace is to first find what is stealing that peace away from you.
Hmm.
Are
Yeah.
you comparing yourself? Are you judging yourself? Are you condemning yourself? Are you not forgiving yourself? What are all those little things that are stealing your happiness, your peace away from you? When you address those things and find that peace, it's easier for you to be happy.
It is. I call it, contentment and joy. You mentioned social media. I think social media is a real curse. I mean, yes, I'm on social media. I'm not, but
We are on
I think
social
it can be.
media, so it's not that it's
Yeah,
not just a
and
curse.
you got to temper it. And when I look at if I look at somebody's social media platform and everything is perfect and it's sunshine and lollipops, I know they're hiding something. I know they've got something they are trying to hide from everybody else. And I don't throw all my stuff out on social media, but I try and be as authentic as I can. I mean, I have a business and I want people to understand who I am, to give them the opportunity to maybe connect with me. And I think social media is a good avenue for that, but there's also a lot of bad that can happen with social media. I mean, we see all the stuff that's going on with our children that are on social media, that are getting bullied on social media. And I think it comes down to, if you're going to have your child on social media as a parent, you need to be aware of what's going on. You really do. You really, really do need to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Because again, it's external influence, right? And
yeah,
when people don't have that internal peace, they are looking for something that will give them that peace. So they think,
yeah,
oh my God, if everyone else is doing this on social media, maybe I should do the same so that I will feel a certain way, right? And
yeah.
you mentioned parents is really critical for kids. Kids are growing up feeling insecure. That's why I say
Hmm.
identify the things that steal that peace away from you, right?
Yeah,
Kids don't feel confident in their bodies, in the way they look, in
yeah,
everything they do, because they don't know if they are doing the right thing. The questioning is going on and on and on and on. And then they go on
yeah,
social media and someone else is telling them what they should look like, how they should
yeah,
act, what they should belong. And they're looking for a community all the time. They want to belong. So then they start embracing ideas that can destroy their life forever. But because they
yeah.
are looking for that something that will just give them that peace. And it's so sad to see how many kids nowadays are on medication. It's really
Hmm.
sad, because how bad are we are we going as a society for kids to be on medication? What can be so stressful for them? What can
Yeah,
cause so much anxiety in them? We should be thinking that kids are, carefree, careless and just, joyful.
Yeah.
But no, they are so stressed out, so anxious that they're on medication. So we really
Yeah.
have to, as I'm not a parent, but maybe it's a good idea for parents to try to really find that opportunity to communicate and understand what is
Yeah.
going on inside their kids
That's
instead of
it is.
just
It
embracing
is.
everything. Because there is another conversation. I hope it's okay for me to bring it up here. Just say yes to everything the kids is saying. Just embrace
Yeah.
everything. No, they are
Yeah.
disturbed. They need guidance. It's your role as a parent to guide them, not say yes to everything. Because
Right.
all the things they are bringing up, all the new ideas they are trying to embrace, all the new identities they are trying to embrace, they are looking for something that is
They're
missing in.
looking, yeah, they're looking for something.
And
And
then
I
you
mean,
are there to guide them, not to say yes to everything.
yeah, and I mean, I have adult children, and when my wife and we raised our children, we raised them in a way where, yes, we weren't they're like their best bud. We raised them in a way where we were trying to raise quality young adults, and teach them life lessons. And when they do well, hey, celebrate. When they fail, all right, just have a conversation. What happened here? Let's talk this through. Is this going to happen again? No. Okay, that's fine. When it happened again, then the conversation was a little bit different. But
Mhm.
I would always try and have that conversation with my children, and rarely, if ever, if they mess something up, did they do it again? Once we had that conversation, just trying to explain it to them. But yeah, it kind of comes back to the parents too. That these kids are stressed out and they're on drugs because they see their parents like through pharmaceuticals, and don't get me started on the pharmaceutical industry because that's every bit as bad as social media. I'm sorry.
It's worse than
Uh,
social media.
oh, it's worse than social media. Yeah, you're right. It is worse than social media. Some of the garbage they're throwing out there, and what for what reason? Just to make
Money.
billions of dollars. But
Mhm.
that's another conversation for another day, and don't really want to go to that road. But what I do want to talk about, public speaking.
Mhm.
And it's that's something that's power. I've heard it said that some people are so afraid of public speaking that they would rather die than stand in front of a group of people and speak. So they'd rather go to their own funeral than have to stand up and do public speaking.
Yeah, it's proven public speaking is the number one fear in the world. Number one,
Yeah.
okay? It's not the fear of death. No, it's public speaking. So
Okay.
that's interesting. What I love to remind people when I have conversations about, I used to coach people on public speaking. I still offer that to some of my clients who need that support.
Mm-hmm.
I love to remind people that public speaking is a conversation you're having with many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You I love to ask them, can you have a conversation with somebody? I mean,
Yeah.
yes, because we are having a conversation. So you can do that,
Right.
right? So whatever you're saying to one person, whatever you believe, because when somebody is a public speaker, they probably have an idea they want to share. They have a
Yeah.
message they want or they believe other people should hear. So
Uh-huh.
if you can have a conversation with someone, a colleague, your friend, a family member about an idea that you believe in, and you can defend that idea with them and show them how great that idea is, maybe a great restaurant they should visit or a movie they should watch, or even your favorite political party, who knows, right? If you can do that with one person, you can get on the stage and do the same. Now,
Yeah.
why is it so scary? It's so scary because of what is happening here. The stories we tell ourselves,
Yeah.
the all the things that we create, because those things are not even real. We
Yeah.
think people are out there after us. Is it true? No,
Mm-hmm.
they're not. If someone, you know, decide to come listen to you, maybe someone decide to watch this show, or
Yeah.
listen, they say, hey, we have an event, we'll have you maybe give a speech, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The people sitting in that room are not out there to judge you, right? They are out there because they believe you have something they need. Nobody will
Yeah.
leave their homes or go sit in a room and thinking to themselves, I want to see what that speaker will be wearing today. I will see if they look sharp. I will see if they sound stupid in what they say. That's not what is happening. Those
No.
people are genuinely out there hoping that you will say something that will make a difference in their lives. But
Yeah.
now you have a story in your mind telling you, OMG, what are those people going to think about me? Maybe they will not like my accent. Maybe they will not like my dress. Maybe they will not like how I look. They will think I'm big or small or whatever. You are saying all those things to yourself. So my advice is always to tell people, pay attention to the conversations happening in your mind.
Yeah.
Because one thing about thoughts is that you are not your thoughts. We are not. That's why we say, I have a thought, because it's not
Yeah.
you. So if you
Yeah.
have a thought, you have the power to stop and pay attention to that thought and ask to
Mhm.
yourself, is this true?
Yeah.
Right? Tony Robbins said something. He said, if you have a belief, ask to yourself, if they take me to court and I'm on a trial, I have to defend this idea. Can I defend this? Really
Yeah.
prove to the judge that this is true? Many of our thoughts, we can't defend them. If
Right.
we sit and we wonder, why am I thinking that I'm not good enough?
Yeah.
We will not be able to defend that idea for very long,
Yeah.
because the same way our brain is trained to focus on the negative things that have happened, there are a lot of positive things that we have done, but we don't give ourselves credit for those things. So one great exercise that I used to give my clients is sit down and write 10 things that you were scared to do and you were able to do at the end of the day. First, people tell
Yeah.
me, I have no 10 great things that I've done in my life. And I say, just try. Just sit and start, and you'll be
Yeah.
surprised, because we don't give ourselves credit. Once you start seeing that, oh, actually, I was afraid to, let's say, talk to strangers, and now when I'm lost somewhere, I have to talk to them, and I did that and I didn't die. Okay, so that was brave of me. You start
Yeah.
noticing that you are not as bad as you think you are. So for public
Mhm.
speaking, just again pay attention to the stories that you're creating and judge each one of them and choose that, listen, this is a story. Where is that story coming from? There are different ways you can find the root cause of those thoughts, of those ideas you have about yourself. Can be from traumatic experiences, from your childhood, from things people told you, or whatever it is. You can go to the root cause, and meditation is a great way to do that. So you can meditate and find the answers to understand where those stories that you're telling yourself about yourself are coming from, and you can release them to now come back to the truth of that you are capable of having a conversation with people on the stage, right?
Yeah.
So that's just what it is.
And we're often our own worst critics. I mean, I know I'm my own worst critic, and I think we all are. I mean, I will say words to myself that I would never say to anybody else.
Mhm.
And you got to be careful with the words you use,
Mm.
because words can be powerful. And if you're using those real critical words of yourself, you're right. It can really impact that 6-inch space between your ears and create. And I've had opportunities to do quite a bit of public speaking. But one thing I've noticed, and this is true, I get a little more anxious the smaller the size of the group. I mean, I've spoken in the largest group I think I spoke in front of was about 800 people. I just walked up there. You know what? I just focused on maybe two people in front of me. I mean, I made good eye contact, but really I just kind of focused on a couple people in front of me and I was just basically speaking to them, but there were 800 people, other people out there. But the smaller the crowd, for whatever reason, I can get a little, anxious. I think because it's an opportunity for them to really start questioning some of the stuff. And I go in confident with what I have to offer. But that's just been my experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's again because now if the group is small, you can actually see people. Because when the
Yeah,
group is large, it's easy for you to just see a crowd. Not you don't see people, you see a crowd. But
yeah,
when it's a small group, and that happens, maybe job interviews, right, or
hmm,
presentations at work, those are the
yeah,
people that issue it might be two, three, five people, and you are freaked out because again, we go there with the assumption that those people are there to judge us, right? They
yeah,
are there with the red pen trying to note all the things that we are doing wrong. But one thing
yeah,
that I can give as an advice, if someone is watching this and maybe you have a presentation to give at your office on Monday, hopefully this will be helpful. Just remember that the only reason why they gave you the opportunity to get on that stage, either to give that presentation or even to come to that job interview, is because they believe you can do it. Those
You got a
people come
message to
already
deliver.
with that belief that you are good enough to give a presentation.
Yeah.
So run with it.
And some of the worst presentations I've seen are those that rely on PowerPoint. They think PowerPoint's going to deliver. No, 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 no. You know what? I mean, PowerPoint has its place, but if that's all you're doing is throwing me PowerPoint slides, you know what? I'm going to be out. I'm going to be falling asleep by, fifth, 5 minutes into it. I don't want to sit there and just watch a PowerPoint presentation. I can get those in my email and flip to them. But yeah, don't rely on the PowerPoint. Use it as a tool. But I never use PowerPoint, to be honest with you. I really don't. If I'm doing a presentation, I just go with it. I don't, I
And the
just learned to do it
PowerPoint
that way.
thing comes back to what I was saying. You having a conversation. So if you're really going to have a conversation, I mean, are you walking around with papers showing people what you're talking about on papers? No, you don't, right? There's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with PowerPoint. I happen. Sometimes I use them when
yeah,
people need it. Some audiences will tell you,
yeah.
okay, I will have that. But again, first of all, if you're invited to speak or deliver a
Hmm.
presentation at your workplace, it's on a topic you are supposed to know,
Correct.
right? Nobody's asking you to talk about something you don't know. They are asking
Yeah.
you to deliver a presentation on a topic that is in your lane.
Hmm.
When we know that you know what they ask you to talk about, can you have a conversation about it? Can you
Yeah,
explain it to other people? Can you
yeah,
talk about what you know? And I'm sure
yeah,
the answer is yes, because you are smart, right?
yeah.
You
That's
are
it.
smart. So you can get on that stage and explain to other people what you know, and talk
Yeah.
to other people about what you know, and have a
Hmm.
conversation with other people about what you know. It's as simple
Yes.
as that. Let's get out of our head and just know that, hey, I'm invited by my workplace, by this event organizer, to talk about a topic that I am confident I know about.
Yeah.
And from that place, your confidence go a little bit higher,
It will. It is.
right?
You know,
So,
I have had to do presentations where I had to use PowerPoint, but
mhm,
I just used it to buttress a point that I'm
mhm.
making. Here's the slide, and I would use it that way. So I mean, PowerPoint has its place, but if you're giving a presentation, and you're just going through the PowerPoint slides. No, no, no. Those are the worst. So exposure Maven. Now,
Mhm.
this is something you started? This is what you launched? Okay.
Yes.
And what was the impetus behind Exposure Maven?
Exposure Maven is really an extension of my childhood dream that I was telling you about earlier, where I was wondering if complete strangers that, were happy. So when I started my coaching business a few years ago, after I got more comfortable with English and all of that,
Yeah.
I decided to promote it through speaking. And I
Mhm.
started getting on podcasts, even though at the time, a friend of mine who was a podcast host told me that no one will want to have me on a podcast because I have no website. I just got started, yada, yada, yada. So if you're listening to this and you think you're not ready to get on podcast, listen to this. They told me I wasn't ready. Nobody will want me. And I said to myself, you watch me. And I made it happen. I figured out a way to
You're
get on
good.
podcast.
You watch me. I like that. You watch me. I love that.
You
I love
watch
that attitude.
me. So I started getting on so many podcasts that, but one thing though, coming back to public speaking, when we say talk about what you know, what your expertise is, and sometimes your story. Because when
Mhm.
I was going on podcasts, I was focusing on expertise, on
Yeah.
all the things that I had learned, the tools that I had learned through other people's coaching and that I was using in my coaching. So that's what I was focusing on, expertise. I wasn't getting personal. I wasn't talking about myself because in my mind, and I know a lot of people think that way because I have had that conversation with some clients that come for me to book them on podcasts, and they tell me nobody cares about my story. They just want to know how I can help them. I said, nope, you'll be surprised. What actually creates the shift is the human connection. So I was going there doing that. And in 2020, I'm on a podcast without me planning to. I find myself telling my story of being arrested at LAX, being put in a detention center where I ended up spending 9 months before winning my case. And as irrelevant as I thought before it was, that was the perfect story at that very moment. Yes, I was
Hmm.
surprised I was telling the story because I didn't plan to, but it was perfect timing because people were scared during that time.
Yeah.
It was in May 2020, so nobody actually knew where the world was going. Businesses were
Yeah.
shutting down, people, there was a virus out there. People were scared. And I was scared
Mhm.
when all those things
Yeah.
were happening to me. I didn't see that coming, just like nobody saw that coming in 2020. So I use that story to tell people if I was able to go through that and I'm here with you today, you can go through this. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it sucks. Yes, you didn't see that. It wasn't part of your plan, just like it wasn't part of my plan to get a visa and go put in jail. Life happens. And when
Life
life
happens.
happens, it's your invitation to be powerful and go through it.
Yeah.
And you have that in you. So the feedback I received from that interview blew my mind. And I realized that actually this is a great way to help people, regardless of if they work with me as a coach or not. Because
Mhm.
if this story can inspire them to not give up on themselves, if this story can give them courage, if this story can just help them believe that it's possible, then I am already making a difference. I am already helping people some way, somehow be happy. So I kept
Yeah.
using that story. And eventually, it took me a minute, okay, be honest. But eventually, I realized wait a minute, Christelle, your story is just one story. Your experience just one experience, but there are other experts out there who can help people improve the quality of their relationships and be happier, improve their finances and be happier, or improve their mental health and be happier. So how
Yeah.
about you also give that platform to those experts who maybe might not have time to understand how to get on podcast. They are already busy helping people. How about you
Hmm.
give them that platform that for a fact by experience that it can make a difference in people's lives. So I decided to start Exposure Maven, my podcast booking agency, where I really work with heart-centered entrepreneurs and experts to make sure that whatever they have that can help people be happier, those people know about it. So that's
Yeah.
the story behind Exposure Method.
And we're all, every one of us is an expert in something. We're all an expert in ourselves,
Mm.
and it's doing the hard work on yourself to really discover. I like to say, discover who you are and whose you are. That's that expertise that can make a difference in someone else's life. I absolutely believe we can change the world. I absolutely believe each of us individually can change the world. Maybe not on the macro level, but we can certainly change it on the micro level. I can change my world. I can change the world of those I have connection with. Just as you've changed your world and you're changing the world of those that you have connection with. So if everybody lived with that attitude that, hey, I can change the world, just think how much a greater place this world would be.
And I love how you said we're all experts, when we know who we are, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where it starts from. Who are we? And we were talking about social media earlier, and it's just the world we live in right now. People don't have
Yeah.
time to sit with themselves. There is so much happening all the time. Even when you say, I spend quality time with myself, you are probably on your cell phone or watching a movie. Are you really with yourself? Right?
Yeah.
We don't have that habit. Not many people, some people have that, but not many people have that in their habit to sit with themselves, to know who they
Yeah.
are. Because we become the product, they say that we are the product of our environment. We grew up in a
Sure.
family. We had, we were taught some values by our parents. We had experiences that made us think about life a certain way or see ourselves a certain way. But all those things are external circumstances. Who are we before all those things? Who are we
Hmm.
before what our parents told us was true? Who are we before we went through that experience? Who are we before we learned this or learned that? Who are we? And
Yeah.
finding that answer with really, as you're talking about changing the world, is what changes our world. And once we know who we are, the world around us start changing.
It does. It does. Absolutely. And I think that when my clients work with me, I think the most important thing we really need to start with in discovering, that who we are is our foundational truths. We have to you have to know your foundational truths. And just don't believe something because everybody else believes it. You have to understand and know why it is you hold this to be a truth, because every decision we make, every choice we make has to rest on that foundation of our truths. And when it's solid, you're making the right choices and decisions that serve you, serve your family,
Mm,
serve your business, serve your community. And that's the first exercise that we do. I know you have an 8-step process through when you're working with your clients. Yeah, it's just you got to go through the process. You have to go through the process and build on it to be that best version of who we want to be, because we all want to be that best version. We all do, but you have to really go deep inside. And you kind of said a couple things there. I think solitude is powerful. To me, solitude is so powerful when you do it with intention. I love getting out in nature and just experiencing solitude that way, because the cool thing to me about nature is it just is. There's no
mm,
yesterday, there's no tomorrow. It's just now.
mm,
And when you're in that space and you're just, you're smelling the smells and hearing the sounds and feeling or touching whatever, the different things. You're in that space of just now, the here and now, and that is so powerful. And sometimes we miss that. We
mm,
we miss the forest for the trees.
mm.
And you got to be intentional and just being in the now.
Yeah. And that leads me to a question. I know this is your show, but if
Yes.
you allow me to
No,
ask
go
you a
ahead.
question, I will
Go,
ask you a
go ahead.
question. You
Go
mentioned
ahead.
that with your clients, that's the first thing, finding who they are. So, what tool do you use to help people find who they are?
The tool I use, I have a series of questions. I think it's about 85 questions I put together to just really force them to go deep and some deep discovery questions. And after they do this exercise, we just talk about it. I mean, not so concerned about the answers, but I'm more concerned about them really honing down on those deep personal truths,
Mm,
because they got to understand them. And then at that point, it makes getting clarity for what it is you want so much more attainable.
mm,
I mean, I see too many people that they just, they kind of have a vague idea of what they want to accomplish. And
mm,
you know what? If you have a vague idea, you're going to arrive at some place. It may not be necessarily what you want. So you might as well be very clear about what it is. And it gets down to those words we use again. I think
mm,
words are so powerful. And we got to be careful with those words. But the words we use can push us in that direction. And so bringing clarity to what that vision is, and then just charting out a course. You got to chart it out.
mm.
It's been said that a lot of people will spend more time planning their 1 week vacation than planning out the next 10 years of their life. And there is a lot of truth in that. There is a lot of truth
Absolutely.
in that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the reason why I ask is because, yeah, I know that's really how we usually do that, sit and ask those meaningful questions that leads us to finding those answers that sometimes we don't want to look at.
Yeah,
That's a great way to get there, which is
yeah,
through your mind, right? Searching your mind. And for me, for example, I have discovered a great way that skip the line, really, because I like to go fast. I don't know about you, but I like to go fast. So I found a great way to to skip the line of going through, because even when we do journaling, which was something that I've
mhm.
used for a long time, and that was
Oh
really
yeah,
powerful, that sometimes I would start writing without, you know, judging what I'm writing, and what will come out will blow my own mind. And
yeah,
now I use meditation in a
yeah,
way that allows me to really go directly to the root cause of everything,
hmm,
right?
yeah,
I skip a lot of steps, because sometimes when I used to do journaling like that, I will maybe go back to an incident that happened that was traumatic. And
yeah,
today, when I do the meditation, I found the answer before even that event, because
yeah,
even for that event to happen, there was a reason. So the reason behind, or the root cause of everything, is really what allows you, once you go to the root and you remove the root, everything else changes. So
Yeah.
it's just one those different tools that we use. Yes, your approach is, more mental, mine is more spiritual, but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, the goal is really to go find the answers. Find
Hmm.
the answers. And those answers, no one will give them to you, right? No
Yeah.
one, no coaches out there, nobody will give you those answers. I will not give you
Yeah.
the answers. Rob will not. You have to
I'm
find
not
those
going.
answers with yourself. We spoke
Yeah.
about solitude, but again, you mentioned how to be intentional about that. You have to go look for the answers by meditating. I
Yeah.
know, not, I used to hate meditation. I used to hate it because of the way it was done. The way to
Yeah.
quiet your mind. I can't quiet my mind. My brain
Oh,
works
you're
like a
never going to
computer.
quiet.
I can't quiet my mind. So that
Yeah.
method of meditation didn't work for me. I
Yeah.
hated it when I heard meditation. I was like, but I found a way that makes it so much easier. Just
Yeah.
be quiet with yourself and, ask for, we have our ancestors that are out there to help us, support us, and ask them to help you find the answers within you, right? And
Yeah.
that exercise has changed everything because today I'm able to see things faster. As I said, I like to go faster, find the answers, know what to do when I find the root cause, and move on. Because again, that's the only way we can actually make a difference, the difference we are looking for to make in our lives, or the difference we want to see in the world.
Yeah. And then we can find those, when you're intentional, you do find those answers a lot quicker. And I agree. I mean, the answers are within us.
Mm,
But sometimes we don't want to know the truth. We just don't want to know the truth because whatever. Because maybe there's somebody in our life that, that relationship's not working out and we don't really want it to end, but we know deep down inside it's time to end this or whatever it may be. And sometimes we just hang on to things for too long. And sometimes you just need to let stuff go. Life has seasons in it.
mm,
And as the seasons change, we have to change as well.
mm,
And don't overload yourself. I've gone through the process of just, a self evaluation. You mentioned journaling. I love journaling. I've done it for probably 25 years. And, don't type it out. There's something more powerful about pen and paper and just physically writing it out. There's
mm,
something just more powerful about
mm,
it, as opposed to me, getting on my keyboard and hammering something out. I get much more out of it by spending time with a journal and just writing it out.
mm. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And it's really just critical for anyone listening or watching to know
yeah,
that I know the world is screaming at us, screaming at us from all different directions, telling us what to do, where to go, who to be.
right.
But the answers are never there. The answers are never where it's loud. It's always in the
Yeah,
quiet. That's where we find
yep.
the answers,
It
the
is.
quiet
It
within
is.
ourselves. And
It
yes,
is.
sometimes we think we need a savior. We think we need someone to come to our rescue. We think all those things. But the truth is, we have within ourselves the power that we need for whatever. And
Mhm.
finding that is really the only thing to do. And that's why there is so much distraction, because the fight is for us to not find that place within ourselves where we remember who we are, or we remember
Yeah.
why we're even here. We set goals. We are entrepreneurs, so goals, we know about that, and plans and strategies and all the things. But can you imagine how faster you will go if you actually know the right goal for you to work towards,
Right.
the right
Yeah.
plan that you need to implement, the right strategy exactly for you? How
Yeah.
powerful will that be? And the only way for you to know that is not to look around, is really
Yeah.
to ask within yourself. I
You
have
got to do the
all these
deep work.
options. I have all
You got to
these
do the
people
deep dive.
screaming at me, telling me they have the solution, the answer that I'm looking
Mhm.
for. I have all of that. But what is the
Yeah.
one that is mine? You can only
Yeah.
find that answer when you find yourself.
Yeah. That's it. You're absolutely right. So if people want to, yeah, I got your website up here. So people go to your
Mhm.
website. They can certainly learn a lot more about you, and then they can probably schedule a call with you right on off your website.
Yes, they
I'm
can. They
assuming.
can. And I invite them to go to the website because There is also a great free resource over there that allows them to start getting booked on podcasts. Because remember, I believe, as you mentioned, that as we can all agree on, we all have something for the world. So
Yeah.
getting on podcasts to share that is important. So when you go on my website, exposuremaven.com, you have the opportunity to download a list of, podcasts where you can start applying to go out there
Mm-hmm.
and start sharing your message. So that's completely free. You can do that. You can also book a call with me if you're not intimidated. Or you can reach out to me on social media or wherever, anywhere on social media. My name is the same, Christelle Biiga. Let's
Yeah.
have a chat. I would love that.
Yeah, there's a podcast out there for everything. I mean, I don't care what it is. There's someone's got a podcast on it,
Even on
sports
UFOs. There
related,
are podcasts on
movie
UFOs.
related, book
Okay.
related, everything. There's a podcast for everything.
Mm.
Everything is out there. And you know what else is out there? Next Friday is the virtual Friday whiskey hour. If you've never been to that, you need to
I
stop by May
haven't.
31st.
I need to
You
get my bottle
haven't.
of
You need to check it
whiskey. I
out.
have to get my bottle of whiskey
You
first.
know what? You don't need to drink whiskey. There's no requirement to drink whiskey, but I just call it
Okay.
the virtual Friday whiskey hour. I mean, I do enjoy a little whiskey. I will be honest about that, but we always have some great conversation. Like I said, last Friday we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of AI. What's your take on AI, real quick? You have a take on AI?
My take on AI is that it's like everything else is a tool. No,
It's a
no,
tool.
no
That's
need
it.
to be scared of it because it's
Yeah,
a tool. You use it as you want. You have to trust
just
in
right.
yourself and use it just like a knife to cook or a knife to do something else. It's a tool.
It's
That's
just
it.
a tool. You're right. And like if I'm going to go work on my bathroom, I'm not going to go get my lawnmower to work on the bathroom. I'm going to go get a pipe wrench to work on my bathroom. So you have to know the right tool for the right task. And that's you're right.
Exactly.
It's just a tool, nothing else. And then
Mhm.
also the Iron Sharpens Iron community every other Tuesday. Um, but hey, Christelle, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
I have.
Um, so, do you have any parting shots before we call this one a day here?
I mean, I just hope everyone listening to this got something out of it, right? We spoke
Yeah,
about a lot of things. And out of the imperfect action we spoke about, I want to emphasize on the one of, just starting that journey of finding yourself,
yep,
right? Just, it's
yep.
not an easy one, but everything not doesn't happen in a day. We are here on the show that talks about imperfect action. So I hope out of everything else that we have discussed today, yes, I hope you will visit my website. Yes, I hope you will reach out on social or whatever. But I also hope beyond everything else that you will start this journey of remembering who you are, finding
Yes.
the time to sit with yourself and asking the right questions that will allow you to remember who you truly are and why you're here and what you're supposed to do every single day, because that's how you will go faster even in your business. Because when you have the right answers for you, you will move faster, you will take action and get and see results faster. So I hope even if you don't remember
Yes.
anything else, you remember to
Nothing
try.
else. And yeah, if you're somebody who really wants to get their voice out, hey, get on Christelle's calendar. She will show you the ropes. She will show you what you need to do to get that voice. If you're someone who's stuck in the rut of your life and you just need to get into action, I would love to have that conversation with you. Go ahead and grab some time. I offer a complimentary discovery call. We'll just do that. We'll really figure out, what is it you want out of your life? What's that action? And like you said it, Christelle, every action or every journey starts with that first step. And too many people sometimes they just won't take that step. And then they
Mhm.
wonder, they get down years down and they wonder what happened. Well, you know what? They let life happen to them instead of them being intentional and just happening to life. Just you got to happen to life. And I think you would agree with that. You just got to happen to
Absolutely.
life. You just got to
Absolutely.
happen to life.
Yep.
So,
Thank you so much, Rob, for having me. This
yes.
was an amazing
Well, thank
conversation.
you. I really enjoyed this conversation. Like I said, I did. This is the first time you and I have ever spoken, and you know what? It was very insightful. It was amazing. It was an amazing conversation. I love your story. I love your story about the American dream. The American dream still is alive. I know some people
It
will
is.
say the American dream is alive and very well, and it's just you sometimes you really just got to go out and don't listen to what other people are telling you. Chart your own course. We That's the American dream.
Mhm.
Chart your own course. Simple as
The
that.
American dream is not given, you create it.
Yeah, create it. You got to create it. You got to be intentional about it. But the American dream is still alive and very well, very, very much alive and still doing well. But you have to grab it and you have to do what you can with it. Absolutely. So, but Christelle, I have loved this conversation. Those of you that are out there, I hope you got. I know you certainly got some value out of it because you brought it today. You certainly brought the value, and I do appreciate that. Thank you for that. Well, that's it. Wraps up another Imperfect Action live stream. Next Tuesday, 11 o'clock will be the next Imperfect Action live stream. Stop by and join us. You never know what the conversation will be, but I guarantee you it will be imperfect. Peace out.